أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد والثناء لله رب العالمين، ثم الصلاة والسلام على سيدنا وعظيمنا وحبيب قلوبنا وشفيع نفوسنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
أما بعد، قال الله في كتابه الكريم بعد أن أقول أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم: ادعو إلى سبيل ربك بالحكمة والموت الحسنة وجادلهم بالتي هي أحسن إن ربك هو أعلم بمن ضل عن سبيله وهو أعلم بالمهتدين. صدق الله العلي العظيم. All praise is due to Allah, who guided us to this, and had it not been for Allah, we would not have been guided at all. Brothers and sisters, in Surah An-Nahl, ayah 125, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, as our MC introduced, Allah says, invite to the way of your Lord with wisdom and good instruction, and argue with them or debate with them, meaning those people that don't follow the path of Allah. Argue with them in a way that is best. Your Lord is most knowing of who has strayed from His way, and He is most knowing who is rightly guided. Now this concept of da'wah, or calling people towards the straight path, or the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is something that we often relate to a Muslim giving to a non-Muslim. So sometimes when you think of da'wah, probably the first thing that comes into your head is those YouTube videos of somebody on the street converting a Muslim or someone into Islam within 5 minutes or so. This is not the da'wah that I am speaking about. The da'wah that I am speaking about is the one that Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam described. He said, when it comes to da'wah, Abu Abdullah alayhi salam said, this is in Usul al-Kafi, the second volume, he says, preach to the people or invite people to Islam without your tongue. You must show them restraint from worldly matters, meaning restraint from sin, and you should perform hard work, pray and do good deeds. Such behavior is da'wah, or inviting to the way of your Lord. In other words, Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam says, the most important da'wah is with action. In fact, da'wah, you don't even need the tongue. You don't even need the tongue. And another thing with da'wah is that, like I said, we usually associate it with a Muslim towards a non-Muslim, but that's not necessarily the case. Often we do, in fact, when it comes to the Shia, who do we do da'wah to the most? To Muslims, in fact. Perhaps from a different school. This is who we focus our da'wah on. They do the hard work, they bring the non-Muslims into Islam, and then we focus on then the easy part, bringing them into Shia Islam. And there's no problem with that. Da'wah, in fact, can be from Muslim to non-Muslim, Muslim to another Muslim, Shia to another Shia. In fact, you believe in something, that is the way of your Lord, and you believe somebody else does not follow the straight path, be him Shia or non-Shia, you will call upon him to follow the straight path. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes da'wah, He says do it with wisdom, not emotion, wisdom and good instruction. And argue with them. When you have a debate and argue, do it with the best possible way that you can do it. So I want to share one specific hadith from Imam al-Sadiq, where he gave advice to his companion Zayd, his name was. Now this is actually between a Shia and the Mukhalifin. During the time of Imam al-Sadiq, of course, there was oppression towards the Shia. From the time of Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam until today, there's oppression from the Shia, and often it's not from the non-Muslims, it's from our brothers. Now Imam al-Sadiq, pay attention to what he says. He says, Ya Zayd, خالق الناس بأخلاقهم So when you're with these people, mingle among them in the same style that they mingle. Meaning, do not walk around with your chest up high, saying, you know what, I'm Shia of Ali ibn Abi Talib, and I'm better than all of you because I'm going to heaven and you are all going to hell. He says no. Mingle with them in the same akhlaq that they mingle with you. صلوا في مساجدهم. Pray in their mosques. وعودوا مرضاهم. And they're sick. Go and visit them. He's telling us to visit those people that we don't agree with. Visit their sick people. Sometimes we struggle to even visit family members when they're in the hospital. وَاشْهَدُوا جَنَائِزِهِمْ. And go and stand at their funerals. Participate in their funerals. وَإِنْ اسْتَطَعْتُمْ إِن تَكُونُوا الْأَئِمَّةِ وَالْمُؤَذِّنِينَ فَأَفْعَلُوا. So if you are asked, for example, you're with them and you are asked to be the imam of their salah or their mu'adhin, go and do it. SubhanAllah, Imam al-Sadiq is telling us that when we're with our brothers and sisters in faith, go and pray and be their imam even. Some of us, sometimes we say, you know what, I'm Shia, they're Sunni, I pray in my masjid, they pray in their masjid, isn't it? He says, don't just go to their masjid. If they ask you to be imam, be their imam. If they ask you to do the adhan, you do the adhan. فأفعلوا فإنكم إذا فعلتم ذلك قالوا هؤلاء جعفرية رحم الله جعفر ما كان أحسن ما يؤدب أصحابه. Allah Akbar. What happens is when you do this, Imam al-Sadiq says, do you know what they will say? They will say, this is the Ja'fariyya. This is the Ja'fari. This is the ones that follow Ja'far ibn Muhammad al-Sadiq alayhi salam. May Allah have mercy on Ja'far. There is nobody better than Ja'far ibn Muhammad in teaching morals to his companions. This is what they will say. وَإِذَا تَرَكْتُمْ ذَلِكَ قَالُوا هَؤُلَاءُ جَعْفَرِيَّةٌ فَعَلَ اللَّهُ بِجَعْفَرٍ مَا كَانَ أَسْوَأْ مَا يُؤَدِّبْ أَصْحَابَهُ. And if you don't do this, brothers and sisters, if we don't attend their funerals, if we don't visit their sick, if we don't pray at their mosques, then what are they going to say? You know, we disassociate from them, so what are they going to say? This is the Ja'fariyya. There was nobody worse in teaching morals than Ja'far ibn Muhammad. Wal-'iyadhu billah. This is what they will say. You see, Ja'far ibn Muhammad al-Sadiq alayhi salam, what is he teaching us here? He says, be the action, be Islam, be Tashayyuh, be the Shia of Ali ibn Abi Talib without speaking too much. Go and show them what the morals of Shiism is. Do it with your action. So, I'll give you an example. In this time in Australia, we are suffering quite a lot, particularly in places like Sydney. If you go to Sydney, there's a lot of chaos happening there with the Muslims. Here as well, I have just a sticker on my car, and as of late, a lot of people seem to have road rage, just because I have something written in Arabic on my car. Now I can go out and I can make this speech, I can go on Facebook, make 100 statuses, I can go to the media and say such and such thing, I can talk to all my friends all I like, but none will have an effect on someone than doing a good deed towards them. Most people, in fact, that hate the Muslims are ones that have never had one Muslim friend in their life. And the ones that defend Muslims to the core, no matter what, are the ones that have a friend at university, at work, that is a Muslim. Because they can see the actions of the Muslims. And when they say Muslims are like this and Muslims are like that, they say no. I know Muslims, you cannot say that all of them are like that, because I've seen it with my own eyes, these are just lies. One way to show what a Shia of Ja'far ibn Muhammad, a Shia of Hussein ibn Ali, a Shia of Ali ibn Abi Talib, alayhim al-afdal as-salatu was-salam. For example, simple example, when you're driving, more probably for the males this is, when you're driving and you see a car broken down, all it takes is to pull over and ask, is everything alright? Is everything alright? Wallahi, it makes such a difference. And this is why it's important, brothers and sisters, to keep the sunnah as well. Because if I go and do a good deed for someone, and I have, for example, the beard. What's the beard these days associated with? What's the hijab these days associated with? If I go and perform an action, immediately they're going to know, this guy, for example, is trouble. He's coming towards me. What does he want? My car's broken down. My mobile phone has no battery. I'm in big trouble now. But when you ask them, is there anything that I can do to help you? One of my friends who's sitting here, he went up and down 3 times to fill a petrol tank for someone. And that person will never forget that action. And his wife was with him wearing a hijab, and probably he was wearing a shirt saying, Ya Hussein, or something along those lines, because he's wearing it today. That person will never forget that action. And he will always associate those things with that moment, because it will be stored in their core memory. If you see Inside Out, you know what I'm talking about when I say core memory. So, what I'm trying to say is that actions, brothers and sisters, is what we need to focus on when it comes to da'wah. We do not even need to speak. Imam Sadiq also says, alayhi salam, he says, you must never do anything that may embarrass us. A small boy causes embarrassment to his father because of his misdeeds. Yani, if your son is known to be, a thug, he's always associated with the wrong people, 1 or twice he's on the news and so on and so forth, what's the father going to be like? He's going to feel embarrassed. He's going to feel ashamed. You go to a certain place and then your picture is shown on Facebook. You didn't know someone took your picture. Then the community members start talking. Your mother and father are going to feel a bit embarrassed, isn't it? Imam Sadiq says, be the beauty for those whom you are devoted to, and do not be an embarrassment. If you want to show your love to someone, show the beauty of that person. You want to keep your family name up high, your father's name up high, be a beauty, an ornament for them. Just like that, we need to be an ornament for Imam al-Mahdi Ajjallah Ta'ala Farij al-Sharif, for Imam al-Hussein, Thani ala Hubb al-Zahra. He continues to say, pray along with them, visit the people in ill health, attend their funerals, and do not allow anyone to exceed you in good deeds. You have all the more reason to exceed others in good deeds. Imam al-Sadiq says, you have all the more reason to exceed people in good deeds. So don't let anyone beat you in it. What does that mean? If you look at the atheist, for example, he has no reason to do good deeds. Why? He can do whatever he wants. In his mind, I'm going to die soon. I'm not going to have to be accountable for my deeds. But for the Muslim, especially the Shia, we have a reason to do good deeds. Number 1, for our own salvation. And number 2, for the sake of keeping the holy household's name pure, because they are pure, brothers and sisters. We are their representatives at this point in time. So we have all the more reason to perform good deeds. Now, one last hadith about this. I'm going to focus a bit about speaking now. The hadith says, Imam al-Sadiq says, may Allah have mercy upon a servant who makes us lovable to the people and does not make us to be hateful towards them. But by Allah, their reporting of our beautiful words, to be honoured by it, there is no leeway for anyone that he should attach anything else. Meaning what? Meaning if we actually shared the beautiful hadiths of Ahlul Bayt, the beautiful words of Ahlul Bayt, there is no room for anybody else to say that this is not haqq. One just needs to pick up the book of Nahj al-Balagha and khalas. But you know what the problem is? It's us. Because with those words, either we attach our own thing, meaning when I share a hadith, I'm not sharing it because I want to show the beauty of Islam. I'm sharing it for my own agenda. Because when I'm debating with somebody, I don't care about Ahlul Bayt, I care about winning that debate. So I attach things to that hadith that make that hadith look not so pure anymore. The Imam says, so what happens is people attach things to these words so that he degrades the beauty by 10 times. So when we're debating, one of the hadiths of Ahlul Bayt, when they talked about that ayah, about call upon the people to Sabilillah, bil hikmah, he says, this hikmah, what does it mean? It means when you debate someone, and he says something of truth that might defeat your argument, don't then argue against that truth just for the sake of winning the debate. Use hikmah, because you're destroying yourself. Now I'm going to move on to one more hadith, which will be the crux of what I'm trying to say. And no one can explain it better than Abu Abdullah alayhi salam and the A'immah of Ahlul Bayt. He gives an amazing story about da'wah, particularly within the Shia. There was Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
So there was this servant of Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam. He was a servant of Imam al-Sadiq, and he was sent out on some duties for Imam al-Sadiq. He told him, go and perform some deeds. I need you to do this job for me and then come back. So he went, he did it, and then he came back, but he was a bit depressed. And he goes into his room and he just slouches onto his bed. And he's depressed and he's overthinking. Something in particular happened there. So Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam walks in to his room. He had a very comfortable room. The servants of the Imam alayhi salam were treated very well. He goes into his comfortable room and he says, I've come to see you. So immediately he sits up in a straight manner, respectable manner. And he says, how was your errand? Did you do it successfully? He says, with the help of Allah, I was able to finish it. And they started discussing the journey, and all of a sudden a group of people was brought up into the conversation. So the servant said, look, these people, they say some things that we don't say. So I disassociated from them. I did bara'ah from them. They say some things that we don't say, so I didn't like it, I disassociated from them. So Imam al-Sadiq says, so if somebody says something that you don't like, not the exact same words that come out of your mouth, doesn't mean he doesn't have the same opinion of you about any topic. If he loves Ahlul Bayt and he supports us, will you still do disassociation from him? Will you still cut yourselves off from him? He said, yes, definitely. So Imam al-Sadiq says, okay, let me give you an example. I am an imam. You are my companion or my servant. I know things that you don't know. So I'm going to say things that you don't say. Is it right that I disassociate from you? The servant goes, may my mother and my father be sacrificed for you. Please don't do that. So the Imam says, I'll give you another example. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is the knower of the unseen. Should He give up on me? Or should I give up on Him? The servant says, of course not. So the Imam said, then you should not treat them in this manner. So the servant said, so how do I treat them? He said, you should be their friends and invite them to the way of truth. You should be their friends and do not disassociate from him. He said, Imam Sadiq said, people with knowledge is divided into 7 parts. Some people have been given 1 portion of knowledge. Some people have been given 2, some 3, some 4, some 5, some 6, some 7. well, let's say the Ai and the prophets are given 7. Those people who are in the Amazon jungles that have never heard of anything about monotheism are 1 as a scale. This is from my words. Inshallah, I'm not degrading the hadith of Ahlul Bayt. So he says, the people that only have 1 portion of knowledge should not disassociate from the people that have 2 portions of knowledge. And the same thing, the people that have 2 portions of knowledge should not disassociate. What happens if the person with 2 portions of knowledge disassociate from the one who has 1 portion of knowledge? He cuts him off. The third person with knowledge, the person with the 3rd portion of knowledge, he'll cut the 2nd one off. And then we'll have 7 groups of people. None will learn anything from each other, and they will all be enemies. So the Imam says they should use each other as step ladders. Teach each other. Then the Imam says, I'll give you a practical example. I'm going to tell you a story. The Imam alayhi salam, he said, there was once this man who was really good at da'wah. Really good at da'wah. Just like those ones you see on YouTube. MashaAllah, their beard and their dishtasha and the video camera. They are able 5 minutes, khalas. Muslim. They say the shahada. I don't know what they say, what voodoo they do, but subhanAllah, they are able to convert people to Islam. He said he was this good. Imam said he was this good. His neighbor, he managed to bring him into Islam. It took a little bit of time, but he managed to bring him into Islam. So the next day, he goes to his house and knocks on the door. Let's say 2 hours before Fajr. He knocks on his door. The new Muslim comes out, opens the door, and he says, what do you want? The Muslim, he said, it's a few hours till Fajr, put on some clothes, let's go to the masjid to pray. So the man puts on clothes, they go to the masjid and start praying. They prayed, the nafilah, the salat al-layl. Then Fajr came, they prayed al-Fajr. Once they prayed al-Fajr, the new Muslim started packing up his sajjada and to head home. The Muslim goes, hang on, where are you going? The new Muslim, he said, khalas, we did salat al-Fajr, I'm going home now. The guy says, no, Fajr time, not much longer till Dhuhr. So just hang on a few moments, we'll pray Dhuhr. So he stayed, he put his sajjada again. They waited, they prayed Dhuhr. Then he started packing, he said, Al-Asr and Dhuhr we can pray together. So just hold on a few moments. So they prayed Al-Asr. Then he said, between Asr and Maghrib, it's a shorter time than from Fajr till Dhuhr. So we'll just pray Al-Maghrib and then we'll see what happens. So they wait. They did some more nafilah until Al-Maghrib. They prayed Al-Maghrib. But he's tired now. So he packs up. He says, Asha, one more. Then you can go home, I promise. So they prayed Asha. He packs his sajjada and he heads home. The next day, same time, the Muslim goes over to his neighbor, knocks the door. He opens the door and he says, Sure. What's up now? He says, like yesterday, prayer. He says, take your religion to someone else that has a bit more time. I have a family to feed and I am poor. I need to work. The Imam said, just like that person, that Muslim, brought him into Islam, he pushed him out of Islam. The same way he brought him into Islam, he pushed him out of Islam. And that man was no longer a Muslim. Now there's a few things that we can derive from this. The first thing is when the Imam was talking about those people that disassociate from each other. And the important part was, do they love the Shia? Do they love the Ahlul Bayt? And do they support us? He said yes. Specifically, when it comes to the Shia, when Allah says, وَاعْتَصَمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا, hold on to the rope of Allah and do not disperse or separate. We must always remember that something that holds us together is the love for the wilayah, for the Ahlul Bayt. If I have a different opinion to one of my brothers, it does not, because the person said he does not say what I say. So for example, if I say that, let's say fiqh, if I say that you must pray like this, or you must fast like this because my marja says so, and another brother says no, it's like this, and we start arguing to the point where I say, you are no longer even a Shia. I've made takfir of you. You know, it reaches a stage, believe me. And those who are on Facebook will know what I'm talking about. It should be called takfir book. Because everybody wants to say their opinion to the extent, if you do not agree with them and give them a like and not comment any further, that's it, khalas. If you don't follow the same marja, then khalas. If, for example, you don't say the exact same things, and the big example is going to be this Muharram is going to be what? Sha'ar of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. One person wants to show his love by crying. The other person wants to show his love by beating his chest. The other person wants to show love by reciting poetry. The other person wants to show his love by zanjir. The other person wants to show his love by tatbir. And it reaches to a point where, I think we all know the situation. And it ends up being not just cursing that person, but cursing the marja that says that it's allowed, or says that it's not allowed. This is the situation that we're in. But here Imam al-Sadiq says, don't do that. If he doesn't say the same thing as you, at least be their friends and discuss in a manner which is beautiful. And this is the essence of the ayah. Come with an academic response. And I'm not saying everybody has to agree with everything that the other person says. If I have a problem with, for example, Brother Hashim, I'm not going to straight away say, is this what you say? And I start insulting him. No, but I'll bring my proofs and I'll try to show him the beauty of the true religion with proofs. Even Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He speaks to the Christians and the Jews, He says, Hatu burhanakum in kuntum sadiqin. Bring your proofs if you are truthful. He doesn't just straight away just say, you are cursed, apes and pigs, khalas. He gives them a chance. Bring your proofs if you are truthful. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. And the second thing is, with the way that the Imam described the story of the Christian, the man that had converted to Christianity, Imam al-Sadiq is trying to teach us that sometimes, when we want to impose our opinion on someone, it gets to the stage that we do not even consider the situation that person is in. We must always remember one thing, brothers and sisters. I have been raised in a particular way. I have had my experiences. I have read my books. I have been taught by my teachers, just like you have. Now, if I come and my brother says something different, you have to remember that their framework of thinking is different to yours. You have to appreciate that. And I'll give you one example because it's the easiest example. Not that I want to bring up this topic because it always gets brought up, but because it's a very easy example. And that's of the hijab. Unfortunately, what happens is, and it becomes a bit problematic because these days it's happening more often than not. صلى على محمد وآل محمد. It happens more than not that a sister, for whatever reason it may be, takes off her hijab. And what we do, because she does not say what we say, she does not believe what we believe, we immediately cut her off from the community. We disassociate from that person from the community. We immediately, this is what we do. We do not come with logical and rational proofs and present it in a beautiful way. We tell her how she was going pretty much straight to hell. We tell her how, the hadiths of hanging from the hair and whatnot. Believe me, if somebody does that, they've read these hadiths. More often than not, people that do something like take off the hijab and go against the mainstream is because they're sick of being judged, sick of being told what to do, sick of being told that they're wrong. So we come along thinking that we're doing amal bil ma'roof and nahi anil munkar is going to push that person further away. Believe me, what that person needs is love. What that person needs is to be involved in the community. What that person needs is to be shown who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, who the Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam is. Because believe me, if that person sees Allah and reaches Allah through the Ahlul Bayt, they will by themselves want to submit to everything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says. Believe you me. And this is what da'wah is, brothers and sisters. And another example, which seems to be more and more common within our community, I don't have much time left, so I'll wrap up with this, is if somebody, this happened to, for example, someone close to me. He had a discussion, academic discussion, with somebody else on Facebook, and then perhaps one or two parties got slightly emotional and did not like what that person said, and it got so blown out of proportion it left Facebook and it reached the wider community. Remember, if you say something that the other Shia does not say, approach them in an academic manner. If you do not agree, no problem. You can say they're wrong, you can believe they're wrong, but remain their friend. And do not try and attempt to tarnish their reputation to the extent you go and tell everyone this person is zalim, mudil. This is an academic discussion where even the scholars do not agree about this. Now you want to come and say to the community that this person is misguided, and go to this center and say don't allow him to come here, and don't allow him to come here. Wallah ayab. This is not the akhlaq of Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam. You look at the way that Imam al-Hussein allowed every single person the opportunity to join him. And even when they joined him, he allowed them the opportunity to leave with salvation. This is Imam al-Hussein. And one person, I was going to speak about Antoine Bara, but I don't have time. But the story of Imam al-Hussein has brought many people, even the Christians, to Islam. Not through his tongue, but through his actions. And one story that I would just like to share in wrapping up, I have a couple of minutes, 5 minutes, inshallah I can wrap it up. It's the story of Wahab ibn Abdullah al-Kalbi, radiyallahu anhu. This man, Wahab, was from a Christian tribe. His mother, his wife, his whole family were Christians. And recently, he had just been married. Not more than 2 months, Wahab had been married. And one day he was traveling with his mother and his wife, and they came across the plains of Karbala. And they saw the tents, and they saw that the way Imam al-Hussein was being treated. He saw the way that the women and the children were screaming, Al-Atash, Al-Atash. And the mother asked, who is this person and who is leading them? They said, this is Hussein ibn Ali. She said, which Ali? They said, Ali ibn Abi Talib. She said, this man, Ali ibn Abi Talib, he is the reason why you were born Wahab. Because even though they were Christians, they knew the position. They lived in Kufa. They knew the position of Ali ibn Abi Talib with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They asked Ali to do shafa'ah that their son would live a long life. Because all her children, every time they were born, they lived no more than 2 years. So she asked Imam Ali, please do intercession for us. He did, and Wahab grew to the age of 18 where he was married. Through Imam Ali alayhi salam. She said, this man Ali, I owe him everything. And Wahab, you would not be standing here if it was not for Ali ibn Abi Talib. Go and help Hussein ibn Ali. Go and stand by the side of the son of Fatima al-Zahra. The mother was deeply affected. And Wahab approached Imam al-Hussein and he explained his story. And Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, he said, you have no business here. You were just married 2 months ago. Go and enjoy your life. This is not for you. Wahab said, it is through you that I was able to enjoy 18 years of my life and 2 months worth of marriage. I owe you everything. I'm not leaving. So Imam Hussein said, okay. But this is a matter between Muslims. Subhanallah, Muslim versus Muslim. You're a Christian, you have no business here. He says, I am surprised that Muslims are not fighting the mushrikeen, they're fighting themselves. But you say that this is a situation of just Muslims, only concerns Muslims? Imam Hussein said, yes. Wahab said then, Ashhadu anna la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
So Wahab, and soon after his mother and wife joined, his wife had a bit of doubt still. She asked Imam Hussein, she said, if my husband Wahab dies, will he be promised paradise? Imam Hussein said yes. The wife said, if he is promised paradise, do you promise that I will also be with him? He said yes. So Wahab went and he fought valiantly and he killed many of the army of Yazid. And he returned to his mom and he said, Mom, are you pleased with me? Are you pleased with what I've done? The mother said, no, I will not be pleased until your blood is spilling and your life is sacrificed for Imam al-Hussein. Go back there. His wife said, don't shock me with your death. Don't leave me. The mother said, don't listen to her. Go and fight for the children of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Go and fight for them. So he went back and he fought until one of his arms was severed. When his arm was severed, his wife came running with a pole in her hand, fighting alongside him, saying, keep fighting, Wahab, don't stop fighting for them. Wahab said, just a moment ago, you hated that I go out and fight? She said, what I heard Imam al-Hussein say at the tents broke my heart. Wahab said, what did he say? He said, what did he say? She said, Wahab's wife said, I heard Imam al-Hussein calling out, is there anybody to help me? How small is the numbers that are helping me? I could not help it but to run out on the battlefield. Wahab said, oh wife, may Allah have mercy on you, please return back to the tents. She grabbed onto his garments and she said, I will not let go until I die alongside you. Wahab pleaded with Imam al-Hussein, call her back. He called her back and she returned. She listened to Imam al-Hussein. Until Imam al-Hussein continued fighting, and then he died a martyr. And just like the sunnah of all the companions, his body was being mutilated. And then his wife ran out again, and she went to the head of Wahab and wiped the blood from his face. And she said, congratulations, O Wahab, you have been granted paradise. Not long after, the same pole that she brought out was taken and thrown onto her head, and she also passed away alongside Wahab. And they were both granted paradise. And then, just like the sunnah of all the companions of Imam al-Hussein, the head of Wahab was severed by Umar ibn Sa'd and thrown back to the tents. The head was thrown back to the tents, and who picked it up? The mother of Wahab. She held it and she embraced it and she held it firm. And she was wiping it. And she threw the head back to Umar ibn Sa'd. And they mocked her. They said, look what we have done to your son. She said, Wallah, the only regret I have is that I do not have more sons to sacrifice for the sake of Imam al-Hussein. If I had the 20, I would do the same thing. Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون. رحم الله من قرأ سورة الفاتحة مع الصلوات على محمد وآل محمد.